This is our video demonstration of the Mbraun Custom Glove Box. It's a 8 glove, 3 box system. It's using the 20G, MB20G circulator purifier system. It's got a mini anti-chamber, which is just manual open and close by using the valve. For evacuation and refill. And then we got anti-chamber number 1, which is automated. So you have a rough valve, a refill valve, and then there are 2 gauges here, vacuum gauges. There's a Piranha gauge up top there. It's a vacuum pump. Some of the valves in here. Right here is your purifier, and then your recirculator. It's over here. In the back here, I just want to point out there is an exhaust for when you do a regen. This is your line. I have it labeled. And there is an additional line down here, not used. This system at one time was connected to another larger system, and there's a we blanked off the door here. I left some of this the valving here, but this will be removed for shipping. You can put it on, but there's really no need for it. And then there was another door here. This has been sealed. I put some silicone around this edge here, and this is not used either. You see there's a bunch of KF40 ports in the back here. These 2 here have feed-throughs for electrical. They're set up for 110 now. Oh, this system does run off 110 volts, and there's the line here. It's quite a long line. I have it hooked up to our panel. Oh, down here too is I wrapped them up. These are cables that are used, that were being used for the what they call, this would have been anti-chamber 2. So they're just not used. I got them wrapped up down here. And then you do have your moisture and oxygen sensors. As you can see, the direction of flow is out this way, and if you follow this line back, it actually comes around here, up through the side. Here, so the direction of flow, as you can see, there's a filter on, dust filter on here, and then there's one on the, where it comes into the box. So the direction of flow is from the right hand side to the left. Again, these doors, here's a picture of the door that's not being used. That is labeled anti-chamber number 2. And then there was this other door here, not being used. You have a couple of shelves inside. That's a, if you need to change out one of the gloves, you can blank off the port and then remove the glove. That's explained in the manual. See, there's lighting up top for each box. When we ship this, we're going to take it apart, and you're going to need to use silicone when you put the box back together. We'll be taken apart here, so you get 3 individual boxes. And then the lights can be daisy chained together. You do have a foot switch down here. You can increase the pressure in the box by pushing it to the right, and to the left it will remove pressure from the box. This is your OP17 control unit. As you can see, I labeled do not use on the 5 switches here that are used for antechamber number 2 that is no longer connected. And you can see that we're at 1 parts per million of both water and oxygen. That's your main screen here. The power on switch is here for the box. You have a PLC inside here. Also on the side here you have a, this is a box purge valve here. And you'll purge out, you can connect this to the exhaust. And this will feed the, here's your nitrogen feed in, here's your inert gas. And then you have your regeneration gas here. I did do 1 regeneration on the box prior to it leaving. So you will need to hook up, recommend that you hook this up to an exhaust as well as the vacuum pump here. You'll need to exhaust that. And then when you're doing the regeneration, you may want to exhaust this gas here too through this line. Okay, going back to the OP17, I will send a manual copy of the manual on a DVD, and it'll explain how to use the OP17. But it's fairly straightforward. Turn your recirculator on and off. Typically, you'll leave that on as well as having the vacuum pump on. And your light switch turns the lights on and off to the box. Your analyzer, you want to shut them off. You go ahead and shut them off. And say, for instance, I have the, this will be explained in the manual, but if you want to go ahead and you hit enter, and you can see you do have some other menus here. For instance, say you want to look at the status. When you're doing a regen, it'll go ahead and tell you what's occurring here. You hit this arrow here. That'll tell you the status of antechamber 2. It's not connected. And here's antechamber 1. You can see the mode is set to evac refi or refill. And again, enter. We'll go to set mode. That's telling the motor to purifier. It's set to automatic. Typically, you hook up your regeneration gas. Go ahead and hit your regen here, and it'll automatically go through the steps necessary to regen a purifier. And it takes roughly 16 hours for that process to occur. You do have to hook up forming gas, which is nitrogen, 5% hydrogen. And I normally set the flow to somewhere in the middle of this flow gauge, between 30 and 40. Again, here's our cylinder of nitrogen. You'll have to provide your own regulator, as well as your own gas, of course. So going back to here, we're going to step over to the mode of the antechambers. Again, antechamber 2 is not being used, so there's no need to set that. But if you want to change over to, say, for instance, an automatic control of your antechamber 1, you'll have to go ahead and hit the shift key. You see that the shift light's on, and then by using the arrows you can go ahead and press the up and down. There's manual, automatic. Again, I'm just pressing the down arrow. And we'll just keep it in evac refi, which will give you manual control of your evacuation and refill. And hit return here. And what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and refill antechamber 1. Okay, as you can see that the antechamber 1 has refilled, and it's saying that's that atmosphere. just one thing to point out: when you are in the evac refi or refill mode, you want to be certain to go ahead and close the valve for your refill before you go ahead and open the door. You see the gauge here is also reading that atmosphere. And then we'll go ahead and open the door here. And I'll pull it out, the shelf, and take a look at what's inside. So you do have a shelf here. If you need to go ahead and load some work into your unit there, the glove box, you go ahead and load that up. And it's recommended that you do 3 evacuates and refills, purge out that large antechamber, and then you'll go ahead and open the inner door here. I'll demonstrate that. So we'll go ahead and hit the evacuate. And you can see it's reading the pressure using one of the gauges here. Vacuum gauges. Or you do have your analog gauge here. Now while it's evacuating, I can go ahead and refill on a small antechamber. Again, this is all just manually done if you need to bring something in. Well, let's evacuate. Let's go to refill. Again, you want to be certain to go ahead and put this in the closed position before you open it up. And you do have a small little drawer here that you can go ahead and load some work in. Close it up. And go ahead and turn that tight. Okay, so we're still evacuating antechamber 1. In this case, that 40 millibar. I'm just going to go ahead and close that off. And just to demonstrate the evacuation. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate the evacuation of the small antechamber. Again, it's all manual. We're going to turn the valve as indicated on the label here. And we'll do a quick 3 refills. Close. Evacuate. Refill it. Now, one thing to point out, the refill of both antechambers is the gas being pulled out of your glove box here. So. Refilled it again. We'll leave that close, and then we'll come in here and we'll go ahead and open the inner door to the small antechamber. And then you can slide your shelf in. Bring out your work, bring it inside. Go ahead and close up your shelf. And then go ahead and put it needs to be turned to the right, clockwise. Okay, now that's tight. At this point, I typically will go ahead and evacuate it once. And we'll leave it under vacuum. As for the large antechamber, let's evacuate it. If it is. Just do a quick refill on this. Again, the gas is coming from the box. One thing to point out right now, I have the pressure set. Let's hit enter. Parameter set. This is where you're going to go ahead. Oh, I don't know if you've seen that. Let's go back to escape. So if I hit enter, parameter set. This is where you're going to set your upper set and lower set point for your glove box. I currently have it set at upper 1.5 millibar, lower 0.0 millibar. So what's occurring now is as the pressure drops, as it's being put into the large antechamber, the valve will stop, refill the glove box back up so that it maintains that range. In the meantime, it's indicating what the pressure in a large antechamber is. We're waiting for atmosphere. Now, I only did one cycle on this, so we may see an increase in our moisture and oxygen. Let's make sure that we close the refill valve. We'll come inside here again, right hand side. Let's see, large antechamber inner door open, and then you can slide your shelf out here, and this is to bring in larger work into your glove box. Okay. You can see the oxygen has gone up a little bit, because again I only did one evacuate refill on the large antechamber. So say you had an instance like this where your oxygen is rising and you want to quickly do a box purge. I'll demonstrate that. What you need to do is go ahead and close down your circulator. And then we're going to go ahead and hit box purge. What this is doing is it's opening this section of the dry train, is opening this valve, and it's bringing in your inert gas, and it's purging out the entire box. You can see the pressure is rising, and the gloves are being pushed out. And you'll see that the O2 number will start coming down. Again, it's bringing the gas in. At this point, it closes off your purifier. These valves close. Here's your box purge valve. It enters here. On the other side of the purifier that is now closed, purges out your circulator, which returns back this way, in the opposite direction. So the gas is entering through here, so you're purging out your circulator. Down here, that's a, I didn't point that out before, but that's your, let's go around the back and take a look at it. That's a heat exchanger. You can add water to this just to cool the gas that's flowing through the box, because the gas will heat up in the circulator. So what they do is they provide a heat exchanger here. And you got to bring your house water or a chiller into here, and it'll keep that cool down that heated up inert gas from the circulator. So anyway, as it's purging out, and it's going to bring the oxygen down by using your inert gas. So that's your box purge. So we're down under 100, so I'll go ahead and shut that off. And I'll go ahead and then turn my circulator back on. See these two valves open, the circulator now turned on. And there is a key here. I just want to demonstrate, show you the, while that's removing the oxygen from inside the box. Show you what the inside looks like. Circulator is set to run at 50 Hertz. We have a Siemens PLC for your controls. And all the wiring is on here inside this box. You can see it's at 88 now, dropping. It'll take maybe roughly 10-15 minutes. It'll be back down to less than 1 part per million. What I'm going to do is go ahead and hit enter. And we're going to go ahead and let's change our upper and lower set points to, say for instance, we'll increase the upper to 3. We'll hit 3, enter. Step down, and we'll say 3 negative. So you put the number in, then the minus sign, enter. So now we change the range of the working pressure of the box from plus 3 millibar as the upper and minus 3 as the lower. We'll escape out of that. And then by using our foot switch, I'll go ahead and pressurize it up to 3. You see it'll stop. It hits 3 and then it'll 3. It's a little bit slower. And you can see you can control your pressure of the box using your foot switch. Let's go ahead and evacuate down to minus 3. So it'll allow me to do that. Once it hits minus 3, it'll stop the evacuation and purge it. So it wants to maintain that range. You see the gloves are being pulled in. So once we hit 3, you'll hear it'll stop and it won't allow me to go any lower than 3. So what it does is it purges the box. It refills the box. Okay, as you can see, the gloves are pulled in now. I'll set it to about 0. And it just makes it easier to work with the gloves here. At 0 pressure. Okay, that's our video demonstration of our Mbraun glove box. Just to show that the O2 is coming down.